So if you own a restaurant, if you own a gas station, if you have a beauty care company, or as of today, if you're in the hemp business as well, or the cannabis business, tag it. So we are really excited because I do know that this is a hot topic. It's on fire. No pun intended. So, but I do know a lot of people are really discussing this and really interested about the hemp industry. We know that, people have been selling, what we call as weed for many, many days and many years and a long, long time. Now it's being legalized around the country. And so we're asking questions. I want to know, some questions myself. What are the pros and what are the cons of getting in the business? And I've heard many individuals say that there's some health benefits of using hemp. So, we all want to know that. So again, go ahead and start tagging yourself and start sharing the broadcast. Share this with your friends, share this with your family. Let them know that we are live. We are live. We're on. And we're here to talk about hemp and talk about tea as well. So all of that is exciting. All of that is great. So again, place down in the comments. Let us know where you are from and let us know the name of your business. So I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to kind of get in here. So again, you go ahead and start sharing the broadcast, and we're going to be sharing it on our end. So just let people know that again, that we are live. So again, where are you from? Where are you from? And what is the name of your business? And also, if you have any questions, go ahead and start placing your questions down in the comments, because, in our conference that we had this year with the United States Black Chambers, we actually had a session on the hemp industry and the cannabis industry. So it was really interesting to hear, it's been a hot topic. Many individuals talking about the hemp industry and how that benefits African Americans, how we're being locked out in many cases of the industry that we know probably better than anybody, which is definitely the truth. So we've been locked out of it. And so how can we get in? What do we need to do to get into the industry? And if you don't want to be a grower, what are the other industries that are part of it? So again, go ahead and start sharing the broadcast. Let everyone know that we are on and that we're live. And this is pretty exciting. This is a pretty exciting show. I have a lot of questions myself, as you see, and excited to have our guest on today. And again, we've been talking about her since last week. And speaking of last week, I want to go ahead and thank Rolling Out and Randy Fling for being on last week. That was a great online show. And so, of course, in the week before that, we had GovFlex. So that was a great show as well. So we want to thank them for being on. And we're pretty excited about everything that's taking place. So, which is good. So continue to share the broadcast. And we'll be getting started here in a few seconds. We were running a little bit behind, but we are ready now. Everything is great. And so, again, keep sharing the broadcast and place down in the comments where you are from as a business owner. And let everyone know the name of your business, where you're located, and how we can get in contact with you. All of that is important. One of the things that helps you grow your business, obviously, is being able to utilize platforms like this to make other individuals aware that you exist. So that is great. So again, go ahead and continue to share the broadcast. And if you have any questions, I'm going to be doing what I can to answer those questions there for you. And so let's see here. Let me check down here. So go ahead and start sharing it there. And if you got any questions, just let me know. All right. So while we're doing that, let me go ahead and we do have a sponsor for the show this week. I love my sponsors. Yes, I do. Love my sponsors. Thank you, sponsors. We've been having some sponsors here pretty much every week, so which has been great. Many of our members, they are coming onto the broadcast and they want to sponsor the broadcast as well, which is excellent. So today, our sponsor is Sula NYC. Sula, that's Sula NYC, which stands for New York City. She's based out of New York City. So Sula NYC is a beauty and lifestyle company based in New York City and was founded in 2009 by Patricia Reinders, who hails from Suriname. Her idea is to create products that blend the lifestyle of NYC with the serene calmness of the South American rainforest. Sula NYC uses the best natural and organic ingredients, such as pure argan oil, mineral clays, and coconut oil. Their botanical scents are created in collaboration with high-end Swiss performers. So Sula New York is a cruelty-free, that's great to hear, vegan accredited, and 100% USDA organic certified for a variety of their products. Sula NYC sources from nature and support local and indigenous communities in the rainforest and the African dryland. So Sula New York is offering USBC Directory members and viewers of the USBC Directory Live an exclusive 15% discount. Just use the code USBC15. Again, use the code USBC15 and check out at www.sula, SULA, NYC. So again, S is in Sam, U is in umbrella, L is in Larry, A is in Apple, N is in Nancy, Y is in yellow, C is in Charles.com. SulaNYC.com. Listen, please support our sponsors. And, we have to support our businesses, help to circulate the dollar in our community. So all of that is extremely, extremely important. So again, if you have any questions, go ahead and place those out at the bottom. And I will be taking a look at those to see exactly how I can answer your question and begin connecting you to, everyone else as well, which is great. So this is good. This is really good. I'm really excited about what we have going on here. All right. So again, remember to place your comments down at the bottom. And so without further ado, I am getting ready to bring on our guest on today. I don't want to take up much more time, but I do want to go ahead and bring her on. So this has been pretty exciting. We've been waiting on this now for a few weeks. And so this is pretty exciting to have her on. So Y Livingston of Wise Hemp and Y Stone Teas. And so I'm pretty excited to bring her on, and I'm not going to waste up any more time. So let's go ahead and bring her in. How are you doing today?
Excellent, and I'm so glad to be here with you and our listeners.
Without a doubt. This is great. This is great. So good. So good. So tell everyone a little bit about yourself. Tell everyone how you got started. But before we get into all of the hemp and the cannabis and all of that, everything that everyone wants to know about, tell everyone a little bit about yourself, what you were doing before.
What I was doing before. So I like to describe myself as a recovering corporate executive. I started my career with Federal Express, have been in a variety of large, in some cases, multinational corporations. And it's been quite a journey. I've found myself in senior level positions, most notably AIG, where I was a senior VP for operations there, and some other large companies. But, my passion's always been more of an entrepreneurial slant. I'm a chef. I'm a formulator. I like to put stuff together. And so I found that corporate experience was just perfect for me migrating over into an entrepreneurial opportunity. And I have been in the restaurant business, the tea business for over 12 years, and I have been in the cannabis and hemp business for over 5 years. So I mesh all that together, and it's quite a story or a journey going from one extreme, from the corporate extreme to now an entrepreneurial business, and now in the hemp and cannabis business. So that's a short story about this journey.
No, that is amazing. That is amazing. So which part of that was most exciting for you?
Well, at the beginning, certainly the corporate experience. To me, I did like many of us do. I hail from inner city. I'm from St. Louis. I come out to Denver to go to college, and from the University of Denver, found my first corporate experience with Federal Express, which is the best training I could have ever received in my life in terms of just a business experience. And rose pretty quickly through the ranks and found myself always in marketing and service and operations jobs that became my forte. And it was a pretty exciting journey while that lasted. But, I always had that bug, like we all do, that we know there's something else we want to do. And I found myself opening a tea cafe. So my first real entrepreneurial opportunity was I decided to open restaurants. And what did I want the restaurant to be? And tea became that thing, and very successful tea cafe operations here in Denver. And then the economy crashed, and I had to reinvent myself and think about another way to move forward in this entrepreneurial endeavor, and found myself in the cannabis and hemp space. So it's all been an experience. It's all been relevant, and one thing has led to another.
Okay. Now I see that you have a few products in front of you. So show us a few of those just real quickly. Don't show us all. Just show us one or two of the products that you have in front of you.
So I don't know what you can see exactly, but I'm tapping on one of the topicals. I do teas, tinctures, topicals, coffee products. We have a pet line of products. And most importantly, we white label. So any of the viewers out there that think that they would want a CBD line of products in particular, we can take any of the products that you see, the lotions, the salves, the honey, and these are from Colorado honeybees, I might tell you. They're literally, their hives are over hemp fields. So it's a pretty special product. We've got tinctures, we've got bath salts or foot salts, massage oils, capsules, gummies. We're working on a beard oil for barbershops and beauty shops. We're working on a number of things. So we can take any of these products and white label them for any of your viewers, members of the chamber, and they can have their own line of products. So I think that's pretty unique.
No, without a doubt. I think that's a big deal, actually. All right. So, I connected you to, let's talk a little bit about the connection that we did here with you at the chamber. And then I want you to talk a little bit just about your background in the hemp industry, how you travel around the country and educate African Americans on the industry. And I'm just excited. I can't wait to get into it myself to really just hear your knowledge about the industry. So tell us about, how did that go? I connected you to one of our chamber presidents down in South Carolina.
Yes.
So tell the audience a little bit about that.
You connected me to Mr. Larry Holman, who has quickly become one of my favorite people. And and the reason being, Larry gets it. He understands what our people don't know. And so he set up this business summit and brought professionals in like myself to have a discussion, to have a discourse with folks who wanted to be in a safe environment to ask questions about different things, their personal brand, and in my case, the CBD cannabis hemp business, what it is, what it isn't. And it was quite a great turnout. It was beautifully done. I was supposed to, I think, speak for, Larry will verify this. I think I was supposed to speak for 30 minutes, and I ended up speaking for almost 2 hours.
Wow.
But no one left. And Larry said even after lunch, people stayed to hear the rest of that day's sessions. But the reason that it ended up going longer is because people had questions.
Right.
And it was, again, a safe environment to ask all those questions you're thinking about, but you don't have anyone to ask. And there were people there, from farmers to people who wanted to get into the industry and actually produce products. There were people that wanted to do extraction. There were people that wanted to open stores. And so we had a great dialogue. And therefore, Larry allowed me to take the time to interact with these people in an appropriate way.
No, this is good. All right. So tell me, because I can't wait to get into it. So tell me, how did you start the process of going into Wise Hemp and teas? So what was that process? How did that happen?
So I already had a tea company. My tea company around for over 10 years, and we literally import teas from around the world. I've done some really big products with projects with major companies, and so it was a natural migration for me. So let's talk about the tea first.
Okay.
Tea is the second most consumed beverage on the planet. So is it a stretch to understand that with tea having that kind of notoriety, that certainly there were going to be cannabis and CBD users who also drank tea? The chance is probably yes. So the easiest product for me to migrate over into the cannabis and CBD world would be a tea product, which were my first products. So I have a line of cannabis products called Purple Monkey. So if any of your viewers go to purplemonkey.world, you'll see those products, which were developed. They're teas. There's a dried honey. There's a dried creamer for your coffee. All of those infused. So a natural progression from what I was already doing, which owning restaurants, having a tea business and a coffee business. And then how did Wise Hemp develop? Because I'm in this industry. I happen to be in Colorado, which is, kind of the not quite the birthplace. California would certainly argue with us, but we're close to just being one of the oldest entities that's been in this business for quite some time. So I'm watching the industry grow, and I'm looking around. I don't see people that look like us. That's number one. At any strata. And I know that I've got great products, second to none. So I do a lot of research. I go to as many trade shows as I can, and I can't stress that enough to your audience, to our comrades here. You have to educate yourself. And so I spent a great deal of time educating myself on what the industry looked like, what products were out, what products were missing, and how could I fit myself into this whole paradigm shift of using CBD products for health and whole body wellness.
Okay. No, all of that sounds good. So what are some of the most common questions that you get on an ongoing basis in terms of the hemp? Well, let me ask you this before we get there.
Okay.
What's the difference between cannabis and hemp?
Great question. I always tell people that they need to look at marijuana, cannabis, and hemp like an orange and a grapefruit. Okay, they're both citrus, but they're very different. So the way that the distinction now relative to the legal framework is if you have marijuana that has a content of THC, which is the psychoactive component that gets you high. If it has more than 0.3% of THC, it is considered marijuana or cannabis. Okay. If it has less than 0.3% and it came from the hemp plant, it is considered hemp. Those plants look very different. A marijuana plant is kind of squatty, bushy with giant buds on it. And I'm simplifying that certainly, but a hemp plant is very tall and spindly, also with buds on it, but not quite the look and feel of the cannabis marijuana plant. So they're cousins. One is high in THC and low in CBD, and the other is just the opposite, high in CBD, low in THC. And in order for you to legally sell the product across the country, ship it. The United States Post Office has a process and has written guidelines on shipping a CBD product. As an example, you get what's called a certificate of analysis for every batch that you produce. And that COA has all these percentages on it that I'm talking about. Whenever I ship something, as an example, I put my certificate of analysis in the shipping container so that if it is opened by the Postal Service, which it has been, they can pull out that documentation and quickly see what it is that I'm shipping, and the fact that that certificate of analysis in the box kind of alleviates them that I'm not illegally transporting something. And again, these products are shipped all over the country. Amazon ships hemp-based products. So it has been quite a journey, and very quickly we've seen how some of these major institutions like the Postal Service have gotten into the business and are understanding it in a different fashion.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. All right, so there's so much here. This is great. So for those that have, like, many people that know me know that I don't partake in it, and many people don't actually partake in it. But many people do. So for those that have like this moral issue around marijuana, what do you say about the benefits of marijuana, and then what would be some of the side effects of cannabis and hemp?
Let me answer that a little differently.
Okay.
Whenever I do my talks around the country, I start off with three major statements, and I'll tell you what those are. I tell the audience, I'm not here to change your religious convictions. I'm not here to change your political persuasions. What I'm here to do is provide you data and information. And what you do with that data is on you. But what I don't want you to say is that no one told you. Because
Good.
we have a tendency of being last to the party. And this is no exception based on what I have seen in my travels around the country and out of the country in terms of our participation. This is not Pookie smoking a joint on the corner. We are
Okay.
so past that. This is a mainstream product that is now being sold in GNC, Whole Foods, Sprouts Market, Sephora. All of these big name companies are using this platform and have introduced a new product into the marketplace. So for any of us who are sitting back, sidelined because of our political, our moral, our religious persuasions, I get it, and that's certainly your prerogative. But I would say that if you don't take a look at what this business is, if you don't have your college age kids take a look at what this business is, if you don't have your elderly parents take a look at the products, my 96-year-old mother, until the day she passed, used this product, and I saw the relief that it gave her. So it's one of those things where you need to do your own research, you need to educate yourself. And at the end of the day, if you make the same decision that because of your beliefs or your convictions, you don't want any part of it, that's fine. But the purpose of this conversation that we're having today is to allow you to have an opportunity to understand.
Okay. So let's get into some of the benefits of cannabis and some of the benefits of hemp, because I was riding on a plane here, probably I think I was headed to Texas. It was I think last year sometime. And I sat literally at the very last seat
Sure.
on the ride, and the very very back. I was, I could hear the engine and all kinds of stuff. It was very noisy in the back. But happened to sit next to a gentleman that said that he had dealt with cancer. He was in the service, and he actually used CBD oil. This was my first time ever hearing about CBD oil. He used CBD oil, and that helped. He said cures cancer, and he actually, it helped his situation with the cancer that he was dealing with.
Sure.
So what are some of the pros of using cannabis and using hemp and CBD oil and all of that?
So let me start by saying, and this is really important for your listeners as well, I am not allowed to tell you what this product may or may not do for you, particularly
Okay.
curing cancer, fixing your arthritis. It's illegal to do that. And
Good.
you find that many companies will have those claims out there. According to FDA standards and otherwise, you're not allowed to say that. What I am allowed to tell you is the product has anti-inflammatory properties. It is great for whole body wellness. I get so many anecdotal pieces of information daily from people who use this product. I know that it works, but it's like anything else. The most common question I get is, if I'm to use CBD, how much should I use? That's not a question I can answer, because that would be like you asking me, I have a headache, how many aspirin should I take? For me, if I have a headache, I can take a baby aspirin and it's gone. For others, they might take 3 Motrin. And so I tell people, you have to experiment with the product. You have to figure out what dosage is working for whatever your ailment or malady or whatever your intention is. I also tell people there are tons and tons of studies. People call me, well, I have diabetes. Well, look up CBD and diabetes. It will tell you a lot of information that you might find familiar with your own situation.
So let me stop you right there and ask you. So you say they should look it up. Where should they go to look this information up? Should they just Google it, or is there a particular website?
Yeah, go to Google, put in CBD and diabetes. Put in CBD and I'm trying to go to sleep at night. Put in CBD, whatever it is that you're trying to do, and you'll find a plethora of information that comes back at you. And that is the best way for people to educate themselves. And certainly you have to sort out the good, the bad, and the ugly that's online. But there are some real important and major scientific studies that are out. If you go to CNN and you look up Dr. Sanjay Gupta, that they had weed session 5 just 2 Sundays ago. So you've got major news outlets that are reputable, and certainly Dr. Gupta is very reputable and has educated himself. You know, he used to be so anti-cannabis, anti-everything associated with marijuana, and now he's come kind of full circle. And so there are ways for people to find out about this product. They have to be intellectually curious enough to do so.
That is a great answer. All right, so again, we're here today with Y. Livingston of Wise Hemp and Wise Stone Teas. Y. Livingston, Wise Hemp, and Wise Stone Teas, and she's bona fide because she's in Colorado. She's so that's a great point. Before I ask that question, just going to tell everyone, please go ahead and start sharing the broadcast. Share it with your friends. Start some watch parties. Let everybody know that we're on. And if you have any questions, Alicia, I got your question down in the comments. I'm going to ask that here as soon. So if you do have any questions, go ahead and place them down in the comments, and that would be excellent. So when exactly did you move to Colorado? I think you moved there before the industry really started to accept cannabis, right?
Sure. The first time I moved to Colorado was straight out of high school, 17 years old, leaving St. Louis, coming to Denver. Quite a culture shock. I went to the University of Denver. I was here for 5 years. And after those 5 years, I went to California. I've been back in Colorado. This is my 15th year. So I came back here for another corporate assignment. And it was while I was here and in the corporate experience that I was able to then decide I was going to move into the cannabis space.
Okay. So great. And you've been there now for how many years?
15.
15 years. So now let's get into this a little bit because what we find out is federally, the federal government has not gotten on the board of hemp or cannabis, but many states are starting to allow that. So how does an average citizen deal with, okay, I want to sell CBD oil, and is CBD oil, is that legal to sell in federally?
50 states. So Mr. Trump signed the Farm Bill of 2018 in December of last year. And that really put hemp on a different trajectory. It allowed it to be grown, it allowed it to be processed, and it allowed it to be sold in these products that I have in front of you. Now, we were doing that beforehand, but that Farm Bill signature really changed things, which is why you've seen in almost a year the growth of the product has been quite amazing. So you can actually pretty much sell this product across the country. Again, I talked about Amazon. I talked about the U.S. Postal Service, which allows you to ship this product just about anywhere. That's a different set of circumstances with marijuana. There's still a limited number of states that have approved marijuana, both on the medical side and on the adult use side. And I like to use the words adult use rather than recreational. That's a major sticking point for us in the industry, because for adult use, you use it for a variety of reasons. Recreational may be one of them, but you might use it for other reasons as well. So you've got 33 states. This was as of, I think, September 25th, that have approved the use for medical. And you have 11 states that have approved it for adult use / recreational.
Give me those states again. So how many states approved it for medical and how many for recreational?
33 medical, 11 recreational or adult.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
It happened in a very short period of time. So that's the other part. Our listeners really need to understand the meteoric rise of the number of states that are coming on board. And yeah, will there be some holdouts and some, long-time states that just won't move forward? Probably. But the public wants the product, and they want it for a variety of reasons. And so the tide is, has swung, as they say.
No, that is interesting, because we all know, and one of the first times I heard about it just really being, I guess what you would say, mainstream, is from Montel Williams, and he talked about his issues that he has, I guess with multiple sclerosis, I think is what it is,
Right.
And how he's using that, and how it's relieving a lot of stress for him.
Absolutely.
And so how easy is, so if someone does not want to smoke it, give us your saying that you say all the time. You don't have to do what again?
You don't have to get high to see green.
All right, great. You don't have to get high to see green. So if they don't want to smoke it, do you get the same effects or the benefits from using cannabis and hemp that you would do if you actually smoked it?
Yeah, I mean, there are some definite differences. So let's talk about the THC side. That most people are familiar with relative to getting a different mental state. Um, it's a different set of circumstances if you're smoking it or if you're ingesting it. So I know we've all heard of those horrible stories of people taking, some kind of chew, some kind of piece of candy, some kind of edible. In the olden days, it was brownies, but there are all sorts of edible products out. Edible products react in your body very differently than smoking does. And what people generally do, particularly say they have a 10 milligram cookie. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but 10 milligrams for someone who's not accustomed to smoking or using the product, that is a lot. So they'll take a 10 milligram cookie and they're hanging out with their friends, and it's 6 o'clock in the evening. 7 o'clock rolls around and they don't feel anything. And so they get impatient. And so they say, this isn't working. I'm going to eat another cookie. Uh-oh. And they eat another one, and now you've got 20 milligrams. And then they, sit down and have something to eat, and probably what they have to eat might have a little fat in it. And we know that once you combine THC with the fat molecule, it really loves that and really gets into your system. Or they'll have a couple of cookies and they'll have a drink. Now it's like 8 o'clock, and they are high beyond belief.
Wow.
And then they say they don't like edibles, or they don't want to be a part of this. Well, you overindulged. You weren't disciplined. Eating that cookie with 10 milligrams is not the same as taking a couple of hits. It sneaks up on you, and you have a bad experience. So we always tell people, start slow, go slow, start low, which means do a very low number of milligrams of product and take your time with it. If you want to be high by 6 o'clock, then eat a cookie at 3.
so okay. How about that? No, that's very interesting.
You can't eat the cookie at 6 and expect to be high at 6:15. It's not gonna happen.
Because if you were smoking, you would get an immediate effect.
Correct.
I get it. And interesting. All right, great. So, man, there's so many questions I have for you. This is so great. So let's go back to your speaking. I'm going to come back to that. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your speaking and your background and your purpose on really educating African Americans about the cannabis and hemp industry. So tell us some of the places you've spoken at recently, and
sure.
And what you've done.
I have spoken to a number of audiences across the country and outside of the country. I've been a speaker at Reverend Jackson's Wall Street Week, spoken in New York in particular. I've spoken in Chicago. I spoke to the ACLU in New Jersey last year. Really a powerful session with hundreds of people in the audience. The ACLU had brought in speakers to speak on cannabis, about social justice issues. How do you get into the business? All the things that we're talking about now, but with a live audience. I've spoken to attorney groups, particularly franchise attorneys. And you might say, what does that got to do with anything? Well, you got franchise attorneys that have different kinds of clients that have restaurant chains, clients that have cleaning services or printing companies. They wanted me to come in and talk about what's happening in the industry and how these franchises might add hemp in particular, or CBD, to their lines of business, which is pretty fascinating to most people. As an example, You have a bookkeeping franchise service. And they say, well, how on earth can we participate? I'm like, are you kidding? Bookkeeping is needed in the cannabis business, just like legal firms. There are legal firms now that specialize only in cannabis. Printing, if you go to any trade show, tremendous amounts of products that need to be printed. Are you in the promotional products business? Hats, shirts, all the tchotchkes that you see for any other show, they need them in the cannabis business. And so it's an opportunity to show people how they can participate right where they are in whatever business they happen to be in, and they can add cannabis or hemp CBD products to their line of business.
No, that's really great. Really great. So some of the states that you traveled to, you say Chicago and all around Illinois. So that's been really, really good.
Most recently, I traveled to Vancouver. I spoke at an investor conference, the ArcView Group. 600-700 people there. I think I counted 4 Black faces.
Okay.
Which again, here we go. But it was really interesting because at the end of my particular session, I was on a panel. The moderator asked me a question, and he said, "Why, if there's one thing that you think the industry should be better at, what would it be?" And I thought really long and hard about how to answer that, because the answer was clear, but how do I frame it to them? And what I said is, we spend a lot of time in this industry talking about social justice issues, how we're going to make this plan equitable for everyone, particularly us, our community who suffered the greatest under the duress, either under laws that were unfair or whatever the issues happen to be that got our people where they are from an incarceration rate. I said, and yet I stand here in this beautiful venue in Vancouver, and I look out in the audience, and again, I see nothing but white faces. And I said, it's not your fault for you, those of you who are here. But if you're going to talk about how we're going to make this an inclusive industry, you have to ask yourselves, what am I doing to that effect? Are you going out and seeking people of color to bring into this industry? Are you spending time with the farmers, the Black farmers in this country, and explaining to them how to grow hemp and how to process it and how to make money at it? What are you doing? And if your answer is what we typically get, well, I don't know anybody, or you've got jobs opening in your places of business and you're not selectively trying to have a diverse candidate pool. You can't use the example or the age-old thing that they say, which is, I can't find anyone. That's not true. There are plenty of us out here who are participating in this industry, but you got to put some effort. And so I said all this to them. And I said, if there's one thing I would tell you is you need to have a very concentrated professional outreach program that really is going out looking for women and people of color to participate. And to my surprise, they stood up and clapped.
Really?
So, okay, but that's great. And I appreciated it. But can I tell you if anything different has transpired since then? I cannot. I don't know of any process, project that resulted as because someone heard those words and did something about it. So let's come full circle. It's on us. We've got to go out and demand to participate. We have to show up at these conferences. We have to understand this business in a very different way than we have. And we cannot put blinders on because of our particular views that I talked about earlier, which is going to end up with a whole lot of people not participating in something that would be so very lucrative, meaningful, and would provide some generational wealth. This is like the start of the gold rush. This is like the start of the tech boom. This is like the start of the oil rush. And we have an opportunity to participate in that. Those other industries I just named, very, very few of us are participating like we can right now. And it's not too late.
So you make such a great point. So from your experience and everything that you've seen so far, where would you say the openings are for African Americans? Because and give us some of the background. So because you mentioned earlier how you don't have to necessarily be a grower. They need lawyers. They need even farmers. They need all types of different industries. They need bookkeepers, accountants. But where are the openings, and where's the low hanging fruit for African Americans that want to get into the CBD business, the cannabis, and the hemp industry?
Mm. So the way that I would answer that is the low hanging fruit needs to start with where the individual happens to be in their career and in their life. So I have a really, really good friend that's a chef. So what is she doing? She has taken her culinary skills and, no pun intended, infused those skills with a THC line of products that she's putting out and a CBD line of products. She didn't go outside her comfort zone. She didn't go outside her skill set. What she did is she brought the cannabis into what she already does. And she is on television shows. She's got a new show that's being worked on right now because she is good at what she does and she used that as her platform. I'd say people need to think about, what do I do now? Let me give you another example. I know of someone that is a consummate artist. She does jewelry, and I know there might be many listeners out there that do really custom pieces. Well, all of her jewelry now are cannabis leaves. They're 14 carats with diamonds in them, but they're cannabis leaves. And she charges a pretty penny for those. And you would go, well, how much demand is that? Well, talking about 14, 18 karat with diamonds in it, you don't have to have a large demand. You just have to have the right number of people who want it. So there are all sorts of things. I know someone else that does greeting cards, and you're like, okay, what's that got to do with it? Well, what about greeting cards that have a place for you can stick a joint in it, and it has a little match surface on it where you can strike a match. And they're beautiful cards. They look like Hallmark cards. They just have a little extra something going on with them. So you need to use your imagination. Pet products. We just came out with a new line of pet products called Harvey and Doodles. And these products are for your dog and your cat. We've got biscuits. We've got beef treats. We've got a tincture. There's some companies out there that specialize in salves for your pets for their hot spots. So like I said earlier, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I have someone that makes ice cream and gelato. They're just starting to, experiment with adding CBD to those products. What we're waiting on, though, is for the FDA. The FDA has not given its approval for the wholesale use of CBD in food products. There's still a lot of debate about that. And the FDA did their public listening session May 31st. We will expect that they will come out with some rules to follow within the next few months. But I tell all my clients, we're not going to go full board into edibles on the CBD side, until the FDA comes out with their final ruling. So long way to answer your question, but basically it's, what are you doing now? And is there a place for it in the cannabis business? One final example, promotional products. I mentioned that earlier. I have a friend that's in the promotional products business. Again, all of the things that you are producing, you go to a trade show, everybody has promotional products, every booth. And these shows are huge and they're numerous. So are you putting out sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, caps, computer equipment, iPad holders, whatever? Are you a printer? Oh my goodness, you should really be making a ton of money because everything has to be printed. And unfortunately, we're in a situation where the rules change in this industry very, very often. And so what you printed today, 6 months from now, may not be relevant. So you got to print it again. So again, it's just based on what you want to do. If you've got the money and you want to go for a marijuana license in one of these states, go for it. Do you have a science background? Maybe you want to open a laboratory. Everything that's legal has to go through a lab analysis. And so you can have all these dispensaries and all these grows and all these extraction facilities, but everything's got to go through that laboratory. And so it can be a bottleneck in some states because people don't think about opening laboratories. So if you've got a retail background, you might want to open a dispensary. You might want to open a CBD store. Maybe you have a retail store right now and you just want to add a line of CBD products to what already exists.
So give me a list of CBD products again, and again just give a little backdrop. So again, just to recap, everyone, we're here with Y. Livingston of Y's Hemp and Y Stone Teas, one of the members of the United States Black Chambers. Glad to have you on today again, Y. So again, remember to share the broadcast, share the podcast, make it, and start some watch parties. I think a lot of people, a lot of you friends, a lot of you followers on Facebook, and we really want to hear about this subject. There's a lot of interest around this subject. How do African Americans take part in the cannabis and the hemp industry? And we brought on a professional who knows about it, who travels around teaching African Americans how to break into the industry. What are the good parts, the bad parts? What are some of the health benefits and some of the issues? Because it's not federally legal to sell marijuana as of yet, but it is legal in some states. And so you said some of the benefits that you have is that it can be anti-inflammatory. So
Yeah.
talk about some of the CBD products and let everyone know what CBD stands for.
CBD stands for cannabidiol. There are cannabinoids in our body. We have an endocannabinoid system. Plants have a phytocannabinoid system. And so we find that this plant is almost perfectly suited for the different points in our cannabinoid points in our body and the cannabinoids that are found in the plant. Now, cannabis isn't the only plant that has cannabinoids. Blueberries do green tea, you name it. There are a variety of products, but or plants. But what you have here, I think you asked me about the specific products. I have lotions. I have salves. Why that? Because sometimes you've got a particular area that you want to kind of deeply penetrate. So I'll give you an example. I do a lot of work with mixed martial arts fighters. If you can imagine, their hands are pummeled quite a bit and lots of swelling. So at the last fight, I went to one of the managers. He had 10 boxers who were fighting that night. And, he stopped by our table, with this real lackadaisical, unimpressed look on his face. And he said, so what do you got? What do you guys, I think he actually used the word peddling. What are you peddling tonight? And I said, well, we have some CBD products. And he goes, how would that benefit me? I said, well, if you've got fighters, and I grabbed his hand, I looked at it, his knuckles were all swollen. And I said, and for you, we take the salve. I took the salve, I put it on his hand. And he goes, what's this supposed to do? And I said, why don't you come back in about 15 or 20 minutes? He says, well, I've got a fighter that's about to go up. I'll stop by if I have time after the fight. Sure enough, after the fight, he comes by. He shows me his hands. His swelling has gone down pretty significantly. And he buys a lot of product that night and buys product for his fighters. So I tell people, you have to try the product to see how it benefits you. I can tell you what I think is going to happen, and I can tell you what I've seen with others, but you have to try it yourself. And you have to figure out your dosing. You have to figure out what it is that's relevant to you in terms of your health. You can use this product for proactive health. You can use it for reactive. I just helped a client in Michigan do their own private label. The name of that product is called My Personal Summer, Hemp for Her. You'll see that coming out in the marketplace November 1st. But these people decided that they wanted to do a totally different line of products that were specifically formulated and devoted for women-related issues in women's health. That's brilliant. My Personal Summer, Hemp for Her. So it's got all the botanicals and all of the ingredients that really are for women whole body health. and premenopausal, postmenopausal, hot flashes, you name it. So you got those products. You've got tinctures. Tinctures. People ask all the time, what the heck is that? Well, it can put it's an oil, and it's usually made with some kind of alcohol base. And you take the tincture and you put it under your tongue. It goes through, when you put things under your tongue, it's called being sublingual. It goes directly into your bloodstream. You can take it that way. We've got capsules. Everybody takes capsules. We have gummies. The new line of gummies from Whitestones are gummies that are vegan, number one. Secondly, no artificial flavors or colors. All the flavor and color comes from the teas that we use. So again, I've reached back into my previous life and kind of brought that forward. So we've got a really wonderful tasting gummy with no artificial flavors and colors. We've got a pain gel, an analgesic gel, because some people are just more accustomed to using a gel than a salve. We have a massage oil, again, a massage and a beard oil. We have teas, we have coffees. The newest, latest, and greatest thing are, how can I put this? Personal lubricants. For the romance in all of us, there are now personal lubricant products on the THC side and on the CBD side. So you can, and then all kinds of food products, like I said, cookies, cakes, candies, coffees, teas, creamers, honey. It's going in everything. I actually got an email day before yesterday asking, was I interested in sampling the latest CBD toothpaste? So you'll find this product in a lot of places. Not all CBD is the same. I will never knock anybody else's product, but I always tell people, look at the labeling, see how much actual CBD is in the product, and then make a value statement or a value judgment based on the price and the amount of CBD that you find in the product.
No, that is wow. That's a wealth of information. Now, so you mentioned earlier about some conferences that you have gone to. So those that are interested, they are novices. They don't know much about the industry. This is one of the reasons why they're watching today. And thank you, everyone that's joining us. Remember to share the broadcast. If you have any questions, place your questions down in the comments and down in the chat, and I'll get this over to Y. So again, today we're with Y Livingston of Wise Hemp and Whitestone Teas. So if someone is interested in getting into this industry, and what are some of the conferences that they should be traveling to around the country? You know, we're a big proponent of making sure that our members actually go and meet people in person. So what are some of the conferences that they should be attending?
What might I suggest this, and I'll give you the answer, but I also think that I should provide you a list of conferences and dates you can share with your members. The big show is in December in Vegas. It's the biggest show of the year. JIC, the marijuana show there. There's all sorts of hemp shows. There's a hemp symposium here in Colorado. It actually starts today. It starts tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. There's one in North Carolina that starts November 1st. So there's so many of them. I think it would be in our best interest to kind of look at a calendar. Let me pick out some specific ones that I think in various parts of the country that I think your listeners, your members would find useful.
And do you travel to these conferences every month? And what's been your benefit of traveling to them?
I don't travel every month. It depends on if I'm speaking or not. I'm actually speaking at the Kansas City conference November 21st, so I'll certainly send that to you. The benefit for me is I want to know, I want to learn. And there are scientific tracks, there are legal and regulatory tracks, there are product and development tracks. And so I have to keep myself up on what is happening in the marketplace. You stay out of this industry for 2 or 3 months, you come back and you won't believe how much it has changed. So because it's moving so rapidly, I have to find myself out there and meeting with my clients and also just participating in the industry. I also am really trying to, along with some of my colleagues in this industry, it's becoming more and more challenging to go to conferences with speakers where you don't see any person of color that's on the dais. That's really important, because if you don't, again, there's an alienation factor. There's a factor of we don't belong. There are professional people of color in this industry. So these major conferences that are making millions and millions of dollars, who don't have people of color as a speaker in any of their tracks, that's a problem for me. And those won't be the kind of conferences that I'll be recommending to our members.
Well, listen, but this is what I'm a big proponent of, and I say this all the time. We all saw over the weekend, Tyler Perry, he opened up his own studio, and I'm a big proponent of us building our own tables.
Yes.
We know the history of America. We don't have to. We keep asking them to include us. They don't want to include us. We might as well tell the truth. So we must always build our own, and we must always educate our own people. This is why we have this platform. This is why we have the United States Black Chambers. We're here to advocate and to stand up on the behalf of Black people around the country, those that are in business and things that affect Black business. So I'm a big proponent of us building our own tables, just like Tyler Perry said. So how can we build our own table in this industry to ensure that we're representing ourselves, that we're employing ourselves? As I mentioned before, we employ a lot of African Americans around the country. We being Black businesses. So what can we do to start our own conferences where we educate our own individuals and really do what we can to spread the word ourselves?
That's a great question, and I think we look no further than Larry Holman in Beaufort. Beaufort, South Carolina, is progressive enough, as small as it is, with all of its history, to put on a summit where cannabis and hemp is one of the major discussion topics. That's powerful. So if Larry Holman can do it, and he's got a great model for how he put it together, this should be replicated around the country. That's number one. It doesn't have to be huge, but it has to be meaningful and powerful. That's number one. Secondly, these conferences, particularly some of the major ones, they are really, really enormous, and they are very, very expensive. And quite honestly, we are not there yet. But we need to find some strategic partners out there, whether we are talking about people that are in the hotel and hospitality industry, people that are in the pharmaceutical business, people that are in a variety in the restaurant businesses, major people of color that are that are leaders in their particular area, that come together, that understand what this new industry is about and how they can participate. And you might say, well, why would they? Well, let's talk about the hotel business. Bed and breakfasts are springing up everywhere. And you're like, what the heck is a bed and breakfast? It's a place, like an Airbnb, and they allow you to partake.
So you didn't say bed and breakfast, you said bed and breakfast.
Bed and breakfast.
Okay, I missed that at first. Okay, good.
Tourism is huge. Here we have companies like 420 Tours and some of the high-end transportation. Let me talk about high-end transportation. They are an African-American veteran business started by 4 friends who have a very high-end transportation business. I'm talking Teslas, Benzes. And what do? They pick your airport. They'll take you on a tour. They'll get you to the right bed and breakfast. They'll take you to a concert. And here's our people that have pooled their resources and their knowledge, and they've got a great business. So people don't know about them. So there's an opportunity for us to really combine our forces and put on a reasonably sized conference that has meaningful speakers. And I might add, let's make sure that when you get a speaker, you pay for them. That's the other thing.
Right.
You go to a lot of these conferences, and I've been asked to speak at conferences, and people are like, well, you just come and you'll get the benefit of the exposure. I had enough exposure. I would like some exposure in my bank account. So, make sure that you put a budget
Expose
together.
me to some Benjamins.
Expose me to some Benjamins, right?
Absolutely.
You should put that on a T-shirt. But anyway, that is kind of the state of the business right now. So there are ample ways for us to do it, but there's a strategy that has to be deployed to make it meaningful.
So no, this is good. So you and Larry Holman again is our chamber president down in South Carolina, Beaufort, South Carolina. And have you had any talks about doing another event anytime in the future?
Yeah. We haven't set on a date yet, but that is clearly, it was such a success. It will happen again. And most notably, Larry also carries the CBD products in, he has like it's a cross between an art gallery, museum, and retail. And he's embraced carrying this product in the stores. And we're about to private label products just for Larry in his area.
Okay, so stop right there. Now that's a great point. Okay, so tell me about, because your bio says that you've actually helped individuals to get into the CBD business in the United States and in Ireland, and so talk a little bit about that. How those companies, I think it was 12 companies that you helped to get in the business. Tell us about the inception, how that starts, how someone can reach out to you, how you can help them to get in business into the CBD business as well.
Quite honestly, it normally starts because either someone has referred me, like you referred me to Larry, and Larry picked up the ball, and we had several conversations, and we could tell there was some like-mindedness. We talked about what his needs were. His needs were to educate first. In the middle of that, we talked about products. I educated him on what the products were, how much those products would cost him wholesale, and more importantly, he could sell those products for retail. And he put in orders, and he has gone through many life cycles of these products. So that's one way. It's through relationships like anything else. If I go and I speak, I normally have, 20, 30 people that want to talk to me afterwards. I get their cards. I always follow up with them, or they call me before I can even get home, and they're interested in starting their own private labels. It just so happens that today, one of the farmers and the farmer's sister that I met in Beaufort at the last session with Larry, actually, we made contact today. So I'm going to be working with her, expanding what she's already doing out in the marketplace, which is not real robust on the CBD side. But again, that's a potential client. When I spoke in Vancouver at the ArtView Summit, there were international clients there, and a couple of them approached me about helping them do private label products. I have a creative director on board that is just second to none, so we can take a concept and turn it around pretty quickly and give a client choices to look at to private label their products. There are minimums. You're always going to have minimums when you're trying to white label or private label. So some products, there is a 100 unit minimum. Others, we can probably go down to 50, particularly if we're putting your label on it. So I get clients that way. I get clients because I've been in the tea business. They know the quality of the product that I've done in my other life, and have asked me to do something similar on the THC vein. So I get business just like anybody else would. Speaking engagements, probably at the top of the list. People that, word of mouth, secondly. And thirdly, we have products out there. I think the other thing is when people see my products, they're professional, and they don't look like a startup did it. It doesn't look homemade. It looks like something that could go on anybody's shelf. I can put it in Whole Foods. I can put it in GNC. I can put it anywhere, and it's going to stand up to any Procter & Gamble product that's sitting on a shelf. And that's the other thing that we need to understand. If we're going to put a product out there with all the competition, it's got to look the part. It certainly has to do what it's supposed to do from an efficacy perspective, but it's got to look the part. when the customer walks past the shelf, are they going to pick up your product and look at it? And that's all I'm really after, because I know from the number of milligrams and all of the other things that we might be equal. I want my product to stand out. So I have gotten the clients that I have through a variety of means, but mostly, as I've mentioned, through speaking engagements and word of mouth.
Okay. So if someone wants to reach out to you and they have interest and they actually want to start their own business, they particularly those that already have, they're already in the CBD business or they would like to enter the CBD business,
Sure.
How can they reach you?
Y@wisehemp.com.
Okay. And spell Y for them.
WY
Okay.
at Wise Hemp. Now, Wise Hemp is spelled WISEHEMP.com, and make a wise choice.
Make a wise choice. I love it. Yeah, Tori, if you could place that down in the comments, y@wisehemp.com, that'd be great. So now I really want to get into this because I've been to a couple of conferences. I remember going to the Black Enterprise Conference here a couple of years ago, and they had this topic about cannabis and hemp. And I hear the capital, particularly if you want to be a grower, I hear the capital is enormous trying to get into the industry. So what type of capital is needed, and how do people get capital to get into that industry?
Okay, two questions.
Okay.
Two questions there. The amount of money that's necessary to get into the industry, particularly we were talking specifically about growing, it depends on the number of acres. It depends on if that farmland has been utilized before. What was it utilized for? Is it organic farming or not? Again, how many acres do you have? Are you trying to just plant a couple of acres to see what happens? Or are you going full board? You've got 100 acres and you're going to do that. The amount of money that it takes is difficult for me to tell you what that is without knowing more specifics about what the farmer's intentions are. Are they growing the product because they're also going to do the processing and extraction? Are they growing the product for food? Are they growing the product for fiber? Are they growing the product for fuel, food, fiber, fuel? Or are they growing the product for, as I call it, feel good, because they wanted to go into some of these products? So they have to have a strategy about how are they growing the product and what are they growing it for? BMW uses hemp in their car doors. Houses are being built with hempcrete. So you have to do your research and figure out where you think you're aligning yourself with in order for you to figure out what your budget should be. Because
wait a minute, you say they use hemp for the car doors. Explain that to me.
So that hemp can be made. It's such a durable, just unbelievable fiber. Hemp was part of our culture hundreds of years ago. Our currency was printed on hemp. Everybody was growing hemp during, George Washington days. So it's just kind of come full circle. So they use hemp to make the sturdiness of the car doors because of the tactile strength of that hemp fiber. Certainly they make clothes out of it. They make all sorts of industrial uses for hemp. So if you're a farmer, how are you going to distribute your product? Let me give you another example. There's a large, major multinational pharmaceutical company that has chains all over the country. They want to get into CBD in a very big way. Now, let's just think about this for a moment. This product is everywhere now, all of a sudden. It's in gas stations. It's, obviously different quality, but it's everywhere. So here's this large drugstore chain, and they say, we want to be the leaders in this hemp CBD thing. So what are we going to do? Well, they're going to start off buying it from people like me or large wholesalers, large producers. But at some point in time, if they do that, their supply chain will be thoroughly, their supply chain won't be as routine as it should be. So what they're doing is going directly to farmers and asking farmers to grow for them. It's brilliant because now I'm a farmer. I've got 5,000 acres, 50,000 acres, and I'm growing for a very large drugstore chain. I know when I put my seed in the ground that I've got a buyer. And what does the drugstore chain get out of it? They get a supply chain they can depend on. Now that's albeit weather related calamities might happen, but other than that, they've already secured their product. Now, what if they're doing this all over the country? They won't be going to brokers for their product. They won't be waiting to see who might be growing X amount of thousands of pounds of hemp. They already know because they've got farmers that they're working with. So when you have that kind of situation where your crop is already sold before you put the seed in the ground, that's a different amount of money that you need. You can also probably go and get that banked, or you can get private equity. Banks, are still hesitant to provide loans. One of the questions that I get too, and this is particularly on the THC side, so I'll digress for just a minute. Okay. People ask me all the time about banking, and I say the rules are changing. I have friends on the THC side, they have bank accounts. So it's not true that not everyone has a bank account that's in the cannabis business, and we're walking around with hundreds of thousands of dollars to our bodies every day.
That's a great point, because I hear that same gentleman that I told you I was on a plane with on that flight. We were sitting in the back, and he was telling me about CBD. He explained how many people cannot keep their cash in banks. So they're keeping them in these large buildings, keeping them underground. They're stashing just huge amounts of cash in different places. So I guess you're seeing some people are able to keep it inside of banks, and some are keeping them in just different businesses.
Anything else? Everyone that I know on the cannabis side of the house, everybody has a bank account. Now, your bank account is different. Banks are starting to have compliance officers that specialize just in cannabis, and your monthly fees are onerous. I know folks that are paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month to have that bank account. They also have to produce their P&Ls and their balance sheets every single month and turn them into the bank. So you have a much more onerous process, but banks are giving people with cannabis businesses accounts. So don't let people tell you that. I will tell you, though, that's not the norm, and that's not mainstream. Most businesses on the cannabis side have giant safes on premises. They have security guards, and they're taking their tax money down every month and paying in cash, or they're going to get cashier's checks, or whatever their process happens to be. Because, supposedly, the federal government doesn't want cannabis money. But it's amazing how that same federal government wants cannabis money when it's tax time. So it's a very challenging process. But I tell brothers and sisters in particular out there who are talking about, I want to go try to open a bank account. Okay, do not walk into a bank, and when they ask you what your name of your company is, don't say Weed or Us, because that is one of those things where you can't be that obvious. You can't, the bank is going to be, well, you cannot Weed or Us here. You'll have to go elsewhere. So you have to be discreet about what it is that you're doing too. And I'm not suggesting anybody be untruthful about their business, but don't be so obvious. One of my taglines for the Purple Monkey side of the business is, it's the discreet way to elevate, because of the way the products are done. It's not all in your face, and you have to be that way about your banking opportunities as well.
Okay. And so if there's some Black farmers watching out there, how could you personally partner, and have you thought about growing? And I got about 3 different questions here, so I'll keep it slim.
Sure.
So have you personally thought about being a grower? And again, going back to your earlier point, being a grower does not necessarily mean that you're growing for the HTC to help people to get high. You could be growing so that they can place these products inside of cars, just like you said, for the car door. Have you personally thought about being a grower yourself?
I have not thought about being a grower. I'm a girly girl. I'll say it. I'm not trying to be out in the fields. I still get my nails done. I don't want to do that.
But
however,
are
however,
you are you willing to partner?
I was going to say, however, I would
Okay.
partner with someone from a knowledge perspective where I could help them figure out and navigate where what they should be planting and where their best opportunities might lie to get their products sold. I have a network of farmers here. I know where my hemp comes from that goes in my products. That's not that's not common
Okay.
for products that are out in the marketplace. I have driven 5 hours up in the mountains to the farm where, and I swear I thought I heard the Deliverance song, banjos playing. But you got to do what you got to do. So I drove up there and I got out of the car, and I met Billy Bob and Billy Joe and all of those folks, sweet as could be, really showed me what was going on with farming. And they are people that I can pick up the phone right now and call and get whatever information or assistance I need to help other farmers. So, as part of what I do from a consulting perspective, I can help consult with you on growing, but I'm going to bring in experts to help while I do the other part in terms of where you might be able to sell this product. I can help you with product development, whether it's an edible, a tincture, a topical, whatever happens to be. So that's just part of what we do.
No, I think that's a huge opportunity. So if you are looking, if you're watching and you're looking to get into the cannabis industry, I'm a big proponent. I tell our business owners, I tell myself, and just different individuals that I work with on a daily basis, you got to do your research. You never want to go into an industry without having properly done your research. I think many people lose millions and millions of dollars because they're excited. They get hyped about something. Oh my gosh, this is the new wave. We're going to make a whole bunch of money, and never sit down to really do your research on how you're going to make the money. What's the strategy? And so I think this is a great professional. So if you're looking to get into the hemp industry and the cannabis industry, you want to be a grower or whatever it is, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to grow marijuana so that people can smoke. But if you actually just want to be a grower so that you can grow, you can have different CBD products and other products as well, I would highly suggest that you get in contact with Y. Why give your contact information again?
It's y@wisehemp.com. That's WY@WISEHEMP.com.
I think that is absolutely great. So I know that many celebrities like Snoop Dogg, Whoopi Goldberg, a lot of them are getting into this industry.
Yes.
Have you seen any celebrities from you traveling? Are you working with any celebrities? Would you like to work with any celebrities? I'm pretty sure you would. Have you worked with anyone or seen anyone in your travels?
Sure. And certainly I would like to work with celebrity and any of the social media influencers. If you're a social media influencer and you don't have a line of products, shame on you, because that's part of the purpose of having 2 million followers or whatever. What are you selling them? And we can put together a very meaningful program. We can certainly put together products that are reflective of who you are as an influencer. So, having said that, there are, as you mentioned, a number of celebrities that are getting into this business. I'm working with a couple now. I can't really say who they are until that product comes out, but I'll just say that they are very popular on, some of the BET channels, VH1 channels, um, where they're looking to take their fame from that and turn it into profitable, particularly CBD related line of products. I am looking to work with sports figures. Like I mentioned earlier, MMA fighters. We can put a line of products out that addresses people that are MMA fighters, Krav Maga, any of those kind of really, for lack of a better word, I'm putting air quotes, brutal sports. They need the healing properties of CBD badly. So yes, then I do my teas. So I'm looking for singers. I've got products that will soothe those chops. And again, if you're an influencer and you're in one of these, you're in one of these lanes, you should have your own product line out. And I am just the person to help you do that.
I think you said it properly earlier. This is like, it's like really like the Wild Wild West now. It is like, the gold rush in the West. It's a brand new industry. And even though it's old, it's becoming legal in many different places.
Right.
So being able to partner together with someone that knows what they're doing, I think is important. I think is highly important. So what are some of the hurdles and the roadblocks that an individual will face trying to get into this industry, whether they're a grower or they're doing the CBD or anything like that?
Okay, so you can sing that OJ song with me?
Okay. What's that song?
Money, 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 money.
Okay.
That's it. Certainly lack of knowledge, but you can get yourself trained and up to snuff on that. At the end of the day, it's how do you find the money? And then when you find the money and you put groups together, things don't always go as you planned. And this industry is full of, oh my God, curveballs. You sit down in a normal business, you want to open, you put your pro forma together, you provide what you think is going to happen, you have all your assumptions. You say, I think if we put in this amount of money, this is what we're going to make. And for a normal business, that's you probably got a 50% chance of that working. In this business, everything's changing, and you're dependent on so many people to do the right thing at the right time that 50% for another business kind of goes down to 10% in this business. So you got to have staying power. You got to have stay on top of things. You got to understand that what you thought was going to happen may not happen at all. And how are you going to pick yourself back up, get back in the game, and keep moving? This industry is not for the faint of heart at all. It will eat you up and spit you out. And people who came to the table with $1, $2, and $3 million 5 years ago, who didn't have all of the information or did everything right, they still failed. It's no different. It's probably in some magnitude, 2x, 3x. So you got to have some staying power, which is why I say to people, particularly those that say, well, I want a dispensary or I want to grow. The chances of you getting a license are slim. There are only X number of licenses per state.
Okay, how many? So let's answer that. How many licenses are there per state?
There's no set answer. It depends on each state. Each state, based on the geographic reach of that state, the population of that state, determines how many licenses they're going to issue for cultivation, how many licenses they're going to issue for labs, how many licenses they're going to issue for dispensaries. They determine what that is. It could be 300 in one state, it could be 600 in another. And now you've got to go through an application process. Now, some states, and I'll use Michigan as an example, while they were going to put out their application process, they did these kind of civic listening sessions. They had them all around the state where people could come in and sit for hours and listen to what the industry was about. It was their attempt to educate. And also it was their attempt to reach the minority populations of the state, because we have a problem with all these licenses being issued with very few minorities being given the opportunity to participate. Either the finances lock you out, or some of the criminal justice issues lock you out, or some combination thereof. So one of the things, if you Google Oakland and Oakland's marijuana application process, Oakland has sort of a model program relative to part of the licensing process has to include certain zip codes for folks who will be dispensary owners. Now, those zip codes are in areas that are not affluent. Now, what that means is you might be living in that zip code, you may not have any money, but someone's going to approach you who you can partner with, who may have the money, and then you can still get a license. So many states, well, not many, some states have adopted that as a process. And for those states that haven't, we as people need to address that and almost in some cases mandate that that be part of the licensing process.
That is interesting. And how long does that process take to actually, if you have the funds, you go through the application process,
State
how
by
long does it take
state by state. So let's see.
on an average?
I think Missouri closed their application process in August, and people are supposed to know by November. It can take 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. It depends on, again, the number of licenses in what category they're being distributed. It depends on the number of applicants. You know, you might have 400 licenses and 4,000 people that apply. So on average, I'd say probably 6 months is reasonable, and it costs people that are writing. People that are writing your application, putting your application together, are getting $250,000 to put
See
the
that? Oh, wait,
application
together.
together.
Hold on. So if you are a writer out there, and
You're writing. You need to familiarize yourself with what these applications look like.
okay, hold on. I'll say that again. So if you are a writer out there, and
Right.
okay, pick back up where you were saying again.
You need to understand this whole part of the process of getting a license, and we're talking now on the medical and the adult use side. When a state goes public, if you will, on either one of those, and they are now getting ready to issue new licenses, every single entity that is applying has to put in an application. And so you have application writers, like grant writers, if you will, that this is what they do. They've educated themselves, they've gotten themselves a hold of successful applications that were approved, and they go through with their client. Many times, those grant writers are getting paid anywhere from $50,000, $100,000 to $250,000 to write that application with no guarantee that you will win that license.
So if I'm a writer, I know a couple of writers. I happen to be married to a writer.
Okay.
So we're gonna have a great conversation tonight.
Right.
So if you're writing, so to write the application, and how long is the application?
Oh, it's hundreds of pages. It's
Wow.
like if you're responding to an RFP.
Okay.
It's
Interesting.
an RFP response, and you can go to any of the states and find out what one of the applications looked like for a grow, for a dispensary. You can get your hands on that, and then that'll give you an idea of how voluminous your response needs to be, how onerous the process is. So if you think that you're going to just get a license and sit down one evening with a bottle of Chardonnay and fill it out and turn it in, you're not going to get a license. You're
No. Let's correct that. They sit down with some Wise Stone tea
Thank
and
you.
write the application. Yes, come on now. Come on, why?
Work. I like how you're working with me. So yes, but you have to put a lot of thought into it, and you have to answer the questions. There's also a financial hurdle. So you get a license, and so now what? You just spent $200,000 on to do the application. Now the real work begins. So you need to have several $1,000,000 ready, particularly if you're growing or you're opening a dispensary. People think opening a dispensary, oh, how hard can that be? Very hard. You have to have security systems. You know, what is the software system that's going to be used to track everything that's going on within your dispensary? You've got to have salespeople, or as we call them, bud tenders. You got to have bud tenders behind the counter who are recommending what the products are that you're.
Yeah. Let me throw this in there. That's such a great point that you said that, because I traveled to Alaska, and as I tell everybody, there are about 5 or 10 Black people in Alaska.
Yeah.
But I went to Alaska last year, right around this time, September, and just walking down the street, we just happened to see a store where they were selling marijuana, and so they had to have people behind the counter. So they're called bud tenders.
Bud tenders. That's right.
Okay.
And that
And let me throw this out for those that are watching. I didn't buy any marijuana. We just walked in to see what was going on. But go ahead, continue.
I want to see what's happening. But the bud tender is an important component of your business because they're the ones that are recommending to the customers that come in the door what it is that they should buy. So they're important for that establishment, but they're also important for people like me. Why are they important for people like me? They're important because I want the bud tender to recommend my products. So I have to do things pretty special to make sure I'm at the top of their list for recommendations.
Hey, Wyatt, real quickly, we're going to wrap up here in a few minutes. Do you have your lamp in front of you? If you want to turn some more lighting on in your room, you're getting a little dark there. Just want to make sure everybody can see your beautiful face.
Let me tell you why it's getting dark. We're under some weather advisory, and as we've been sitting here, I keep looking out the window because all of a sudden I can't see anything outside.
Okay.
We're having a major snowstorm. It was 83 degrees today, and it's about to snow.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. If you have any more lighting in your room, if you maybe turn that up a little bit, that'd be great.
Hold on. I'm gonna bootleg this with a Apple phone and turn my light on.
Don't worry. Do what you have to do. While you do that, I'm going to talk.
How's that working?
Don't worry. We're fine. We only have a few more minutes here.
Okay.
But listen, this is really, I mean, I think this is great information. This is great news. And I can't stress enough. So Alicia, gentleman down in the comments, he asked, he wanted to be a grower. So as you said, just to be realistic, you need millions of dollars. So if you don't have the millions of dollars yourself, it's how do you find those that you could partner with? But even going back to the other point, you don't have to be a grower, because I think everybody thinks about, I want to get into it, I want to grow it, I want to sell it, just like people used to do back in the day. Right. But so some of the low-hanging fruit is maybe doing some of the products. So if I wanted to get into some of the products, I don't need millions of dollars to do that, do I?
No, you do not. You can white label products like from companies like myself who already have products for you.
For the people that don't understand, explain white label.
White label means you take a product that I've already developed. I'm holding this. This is a lotion. And instead of it saying Wise Hemp, it's going to say Brian's Hemp. It's going to say, whomever, XYZ Hemp. We literally put your label on our products. And it allows you to get into the business immediately. Private label means you love this lotion, but you'd like it to have some more extract in it, some Damiana, some ashwagandha, some whatever your thing happens to be. So you want us to kind of reformulate it and add some special ingredients. It's still going to have your label on it, but it's also private because now there's a formula that's associated with it that only belongs to you.
Oh, that's amazing. So that you could change the formula.
Correct.
Now, so with you, as we wrap up here, so if someone wants to get started, how much money would they have to spend to get started? Let's say just using what you currently have, white labeling some of your products.
So we have about 20 products. So the answer to that is depending how many products do you want to start. I have minimums, everything 100 units. So if you want to do a healthy start, because you've got a store or your website, you probably want to get 100 of each unit. So we're talking about $5,000 to get started in your business, which is so nominal if you think about it.
Yeah, I think for many that want to get into the industry, I'm a big proponent of, start with the low-hanging fruit. Everybody wants to start at the top of the tree. No, start at the bottom and work your way up. And I think that's a great, and also a big proponent of us partnering. One of the things that I focus on here at the Chamber is really making sure that our members are working together, making sure that our members are doing business together, that they're partnering together. We have some great things that are coming down with our members doing business with each other also. So I really believe if you actually want to do business in the cannabis and hemp industry, you want to get in contact with Y Livingston, because she can help walk you through the process and explain to you exactly what you need to do. She can show you where the openings are, because again, if we can be honest, we know America is racist. We just have to tell the truth. We understand the history of America. We understand what America still is today. It has oppressed African Americans, not just today, but for 400 years. And so the truth is many people don't like that, but it's just the truth. So we understand the roadblocks that we deal with. So I'm always a big proponent of what can you build yourself, and what can you do without asking someone else for permission. What do you need to do, and how can you do it, and how can you grow that yourself? And so working together and partnering with someone else that looks like you, who has the information, who has the intellect, the openings, the understanding, the relationships is key. As we say all the time, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Or in this case, you don't have to grow your own trees.
Right.
You don't have to. You don't have to do it yourself. So, yeah, learn from someone else and partner with someone else who can help you get into the business and get a foot in the industry versus throwing your entire self in. It's because many businesses fail because they go all in and they do too much. They have too much overhead, and then the business fails because, to her point, you need millions of dollars if you do want to be a grower. And again, as we explained, just because you're growing doesn't mean that you're growing for recreation. You could be growing for many of the different products that they have in the cannabis and hemp industry. So partnering together with an individual like this is great. Because it helps to minimize your risk as you're going into the business. So again, why? Tell them how they can get in contact with you if they want to partner with you, if they want to white label some of your products.
Sure.
If they have the $5,000 and they've been waiting on the opportunity, how can they get in contact with you?
That's Y at Wise Hemp. That's WY at Wise Hemp, WISEHEMP.com. And they can always certainly contact you, my brother, and you can get them to me.
Absolutely. Have questions, any other questions, place your questions down in the comments, down in the comment area. And again, one of the other the questions that I had earlier was how do you get into the business? How do you get into the industry? And so we answered that earlier. So you are just a wealth of knowledge. Seriously, the information that you have, pretty much, a lot of individuals, they want to want to begin franchises. They may want to start a Burger King or McDonald's, but this is a great type of franchise that you can start. $5,000, getting into the industry and starting to sell it to different individuals. I think that's a great way to start. Now, do you have any other? Tell us some of your successes before we go. Tell us some of the successes of Wise Hemp and Wise Stone Tea that you've had over the years, so that people just get a little bit more information about you.
Sure. Well, I think the major success is that people trust my products. I'll say that more than anything. If you take one of my products, either the teas, the coffees, any of these hemp products, they are second to none, and I put them up against anybody. Right out the gate, when I opened my first restaurant, we won Best New Franchise Concept from the International Franchise Association. It takes a lot to do that because we put a lot of research and time and effort into putting out a really quality product. I've been able to find my way into this industry and have spoken at some of the major conferences already, even with having a short time in the business. And 5 years is short. I have known people that have been in there for 10 years. I've managed to have my teas in Whole Foods in the entire Western region. That's 43 stores over 5 states. And so, I've had a modicum of success in product development and also distribution. And that will only continue for us with this hemp line of products. But my main objective at this point is to help others like myself get into this business in a big way, and to have, we talked about franchising. What would really be wonderful is if somebody could come up with, and there are platforms out there, brick and mortar concept that can be franchised, but it's a CBD store. I mean, there are folks that are doing that right now that don't look like us. So why not? Why not have a CBD store franchise that can be modeled and replicated all over the country? So things like that are important to me.
No, that is. If you want to say hello to Jewel Brooks, Jewel says the name of her company is called Pure Heaven Dispensary. She talked about how things change all of the time in the industry, and they've only been in the industry now for 4 months. And Jewel says they're transitioning to Hemporia, and they have 5 locations. right now, and they plan to grow to 100 by the end of the year, end of next year.
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think that would be a great connection. So, Jewel, I'm going to reach out to you, Jewel, so that I can get you in contact with Y. I think that would be a great connection for the two of you to see how you can work together.
Absolutely. And if there are folks out there that are barbers, beauticians, you want your own line of product. I'm working on a beard oil right now. I have a facial cream. I've just been asked to do a hair oil product with CBD in it. The sky's the limit, clearly.
No, this is great. All right, so give us your final thoughts. Any other thoughts that you have? And again, if you have any comments before we close, definitely place them down in the comments, the comment section. But go ahead and give us some of your final thoughts. What you want people to do to reach out to you. Just things that they need to know about the cannabis industry. It is so much to know. And give us some of your thoughts.
Well, my final thoughts. We need to keep the conversation going. This can't be a once and done. The industry is changing as we're sitting here having this conversation. So I ask everybody to keep that dialogue and open your eyes and think about what's happening very, very differently than you might have from the beginning of this call. We still are in a situation where, Pookie's on the corner selling a legal drug illegally.
Yeah.
That has to change. It's not necessary. We don't need black market, not in a negative way. The new black market is to be a part of this industry and really take the industry by storm. Support each other. Shop black business. Put your black dollars to work where we're supporting one another. You just mentioned the sister with Hemporia. I think that is fabulous. They need to. Everybody needs to support them. And that's where we have sorely been lacking. I think with educational opportunities like what you've done today, and as I've mentioned Larry Holman many times, that's what we have to continue to do. So I don't want this to be the end of the discussion. I want this to be the beginning.
No, that's a great point. And I do want to say that Jewel said that they started the business with under $20,000. They do have a brick and mortar store. And she said you could buy wholesale from any reputable company.
That's right.
Jewel, tell us where you are. If you're still watching, Jewel, tell what city and state are you located in? Because I think it's important. I think this is such an interesting topic. So again, before we go, if you don't want to be a grower, give us 5 different products or 5 types of industries that someone who's watching can potentially go into in the cannabis and hemp industry.
So you don't want to be a grower, again, and I'll talk on the CBD side because I've already spoken about the THC side and the expense associated. So go on the CBD side, come up with a product. There's something out there that hasn't been done yet. Think about that. Open a CBD store. It doesn't have to be a large brick and mortar, or put yourself a business plan together and go inside of a already existing store. Maybe you have a friend that has a retail boutique or has a restaurant or food store, and you can set up a stand or an area in there with CBD related products. If you're in the promotional products business, please don't ignore this part of the business. If you are if you're a lawyer, if you're an attorney, and you don't have cannabis or hemp as part of your practice, please think about doing so, even on the compliance and regulatory side of the house. And finally, if you're an entrepreneur who is really just trying to find their way through this business, and you've got something you specialize in, you're a wonderful chef, you're a cook, think about what it is that you can make. You, like I said, you're in the beauty business. You've got several salons or barbershops. Then put out your own CBD related line of products. So I think those 5 areas are really just the starting point. And if you're a printer, why aren't you printing cannabis related materials for this industry? Labels, boxes, any of that kind of stuff. If you're a jewelry maker, think about it. If you're clothing, do you sew? Sew some hemp bandanas. I don't care. people are out there. They want the product. They want what you have to offer. So sky is really your only limit.
No, that is some great information. That is amazing. So Jewel said that she is in uh, Kernersville, North Carolina.
Oh,
Kernersville.
okay.
Now with the CBD oil and this, so a lot of CBD products, you can ship that, correct? You don't have to have a special license to ship that, do you?
When I ship my product anywhere in the country, like I said at the beginning, I always put what's called the certificate of analysis in the box. It's called a COA for short. And that certificate of analysis allows any postal inspector to open it up and see what's being shipped. And it has the potency requirements, the potency limits of how that product has been tested and what those amounts are. So they can clearly see it has less than 0.3% of THC. Therefore, it is a hemp derived CBD product.
This is great. This is great information. This is really, really good. Listen, if you got any more questions, place them down in the comments. I'll be reaching back out to you. Y will be reaching back out to you as well. This was Y. You did it again. You did it again.
Well,
And so tell everyone again this upcoming conference where you will be at, just in case they want to travel and meet you in person. What that conference is.
It's Kansas City Cannabis Show. It is November 20th, 21st, and 22nd. I'll certainly send that information to you so that you have it. It's going to be a great show. It's the first time in Kansas City, I should say. And I always love to go to the brand new shows because it's people, again, who are curious. They want to know what's happening. It's an opportunity for them to get their foot in the door. And I've been invited to be a speaker. So things are changing. There are some more people of color that are getting up on the podium. So, I hope everyone that can come will come.
All right, really quickly before you go, just keep it kind of short. Just show everyone the list of your products that you have there, what they are, and then how they can actually purchase those from you.
Sure.
You take them one by one.
Sure. I've got 2 lotions. One's jasmine, one's lavender. I've got 2 salves, a honey, again, Colorado honeybees. I've got 4 tinctures, 3 flavored, mint, a tangerine, lemon, and then one is a natural flavor, so absolutely no flavor whatsoever. Bath salts. We have capsules. We have gummies, the tea-infused gummies, no artificial flavors, no artificial colors, vegan. We have massage oil. We have a pain gel. We have a facial moisturizing cream. We have a personal intimate lubricant that people can use. We have dog products. We have did I see you smirk? Okay, no. We have dog products.
Wow, you got everything.
Yes. So we've got teas and coffees, a dog tincture, dog treats, and what is this? A dog biscuit. And we had everything. And we have a couple of other products that are coming out. We have a bath bomb, a beard oil, and some additional specific skin products.
Okay, great. And now give us your web address again. That way they know where they can go to buy your product.
Wisehemp.com. And wisehemp.com. If you put
spell
in
that for them.
WISEHEMP.com. And as you check out, the code for discount is BWISE, all caps, BEWISE.
And they get a 10% discount, correct?
Correct.
This is amazing. Miss Y Livingston, thank you very much. This is a great call and great show. Listen, and we will be rebroadcasting this show here very soon. So, if you have friends and family that want to get into this industry, if you have more questions yourself, you can send me an email. Send me an email at Brian, BRIAN, at usblackchambers.org. Or you can just place your question down in the comments, and then we'll be going back into those comments and connecting you with our guests as well. I learned a lot today, and I just really felt like we were just scratching the surface there, Y. So this is really, really good. Really good information. Any other thoughts that you have before we go? Why?
we were just scratching the surface. So in
Yes.
the future, we could spend time on the whole application process and what's coming down the pipe. You could spend a whole session on legal and compliance issues. You could spend a whole session on growing. What that looks like, what kind of farms there are. When I was in Canada earlier in the year, I went to a 1 million acre farm, all done
Wow.
in greenhouses.
That was in Canada?
That was in Canada. That's right outside of Vancouver. Exactly. So the topics are innumerable. It just depends on where strategically where we want to head.
This is what I'm going to say. If you want to get into this industry, why is a great connection for you? And one of the things that we talk about here all the time here at the Chamber is business is done by relationships, and no need to try to do it on your own. And too many people try to take all of it for themselves. In business, you have to partner. You have to work together with other individuals. So I definitely would highly suggest, if you're very serious about getting into this industry, reach out to Y. Place your comments down in the bottom, and we'll have Y to get back in contact with you. We've also placed their information down in the comments as well. Again, give out your email address one last time, Y.
Y@wisehemp.com. That's WY@WISEHEMP.com. Make a wise choice.
Make a wise choice. Listen, this is fun. This was exciting. This was, great information, a lot of knowledge. We learned a lot, and I didn't know why. I didn't know you had all those products. Why, you have something for everyone.
I do, and we're going to do some elixirs, some bitters for cocktails.
Okay.
Yep.
No, this is absolutely amazing. Absolutely great. All right, great. So I want to finish the show by giving some more love to our sponsor. Again, the sponsor of the show. And again, thank you. Every week we've been having a sponsor of the show. They're all members of the Chamber. We're here to highlight our members, to let everyone know who they are, what they do, and the types of products and services that they offer. And we have some amazing members that I've been telling our members, our audience needs to know about you. And we want to do what we can to help get the word about them. And I'm going to highly suggest that you support these businesses, financially support them. Go online tonight, buy you some CBD products, and use them, particularly if you need some for your skin, if you need some healing agents. They're anti-inflammatory, which is really great. And do your research also. Do your research and find out what's important for you and how this can help you also. So our sponsor today, again, is Sula, SULA NYC. Sula NYC is a beauty and lifestyle company based in New York City and was founded in 2009 by Patricia Reinders, who hails from Suriname. Her idea, she creates products that blends the lifestyle of New York City with the serene calmness of the South American rainforest. Sula NYC uses the best natural and organic ingredients such as pure argan oil, which is amazing, mineral clays, and coconut oil. Her botanical scents are created in a collaboration with high-end Swiss performers. And one of the things that Patricia explained to me is that a lot of her products are sold outside of the United States. And so this is a great product. If you're looking to take advantage of some of these ingredients, this will be really great for you to take advantage of. So Sula NYC is a cruelty-free, vegan accredited, and 100% USDA organic certified for a variety of their products. Sula NYC sources from nature and support local and indigenous communities in the rainforest and the African drylands. Sula NYC is offering USBC members and those that are watching today an exclusive 15% discount if you use the code USBC, which stands for Chambers, USBC 15, USBC 15, and go to the website address www. S as in Sam, U as in umbrella, L as in Larry, A as in Apple, N as in new, Y as in York, C as in city.com. One more time, www.sulanyc.com. Support our sponsors. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Sula, New York. And she will be on the show here coming up very soon so that we can highlight her business, make everyone aware of what she's doing there in New York and how she's doing business internationally. So thank you very much for joining us. Remember to tell your friends and your family that we are here to highlight Black businesses, to highlight them, to expose them, to promote them, to make everyone aware that we have businesses of excellence. We have businesses that are doing great things in the country and outside of the country as well. We have a lot of businesses that are doing business within the United States and some that are doing business outside of the United States. So support Black businesses. Don't just use a hashtag. Don't just talk about it on Facebook. Don't just talk about it on Instagram. Actually go to the website. Go to the website and purchase a product. Support a Black-owned business. It's important that we support our own businesses. We have a lot of money in our community. We have to take that money and pour it into our Black-owned businesses. So thank you all for joining us. And remember to join us again next week, October 16th. We'll have a surprise guest next week. So I'm not going to tell you who it is right now, but we have a surprise guest next week. So next week, October the 16th, Wednesday, at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we meet here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. On the USBC Directory Live. We love highlighting our businesses. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your questions. And remember to go to wystones.com, wystones.com, and purchase you some products. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you so much, Ms. Y. Livingston. You have a great evening.
You too.
And you all be careful with that snowstorm. Oh my goodness. Keep that over there. We don't need that over here.
In 24 hours.
It's going to be back again next week. Thank you so much, Y. You have a great night. I'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.